From the Gulf States newsroom, this is the Gulf States Gumbo, your weekly serving of stories from Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. I'm community engagement reporter Elise Gregg, chopping it up this week. While Fat Tuesday isn't officially until next week, Carnival season is in full swing in New Orleans. Since Epiphany on January 6th until Mardi Gras Day, the city is alive with parades, parties, and, yes, lots of food, especially king cake, the iconic pastry that you can only eat during Carnival. Now, if you consider yourself a baker and you celebrate Mardi Gras, making a king cake is sort of this rite of passage. And right now in New Orleans, where the dessert is practically sacred, the pressure is on to get it right and make it your own. WWNO and WRKF's education reporter Aubri Juhasz joined local culinary students for their first attempts to bring us this story.
It's a Saturday in January, and students at New Orleans Culinary and Hospitality Institute, NOCI, are setting up for a 4-hour class, hauling stand mixers to their workstations. Danae Reddick teaches this king cake workshop twice a year.
We teach it, but it is sacrilegious to eat it outside of Carnival season for sure.
Fortunately, it is Carnival season. Chef Danae is a professional cake decorator and was among NOCI's first graduates in 2019. King cake isn't a beginner-level treat. I ask her where people typically go wrong.
I think in the dough making process. I think the shaping, it can be tricky, but I think at the end of the day, it's all going to kind of bake together anyway.
I'm a home baker, and working with yeast always makes me nervous. Measurements need to be precise, and you don't want to under or over mix. Since the dough needs to rise overnight, another instructor has prepared it in advance. Sierra Francois looks relieved.
I'm glad I didn't have to make the dough for today. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Francois is one of 6 people in today's class, all Black women. Some already work in the restaurant industry like Francois, who's at a seafood place. But their baking experience is limited, and they're here to level up.
I think we all love king cake, maybe, and we know how important it is to the culture, and so we're going to do it justice.
And they aren't afraid to experiment. To her classic cinnamon filling, Francois adds coffee liqueur and bourbon. Her classmate Orion Cho adds a few teaspoons of orange liqueur.
It's a little sweet, very orange forward.
After they finish their fillings, Chef Danae waves them over for a demo. She dumps the sticky dough onto a table and starts working it into a rectangle, using a yardstick for reference.
For the most part, stretch it by hand, roll it just a little bit to get it to the shape and size you need it to be, and then go ahead and braid it.
Francois follows Chef Danae's instructions. She's careful not to overflour her workspace or overwork her dough. Once she hits the right dimensions, she spreads her filling, pushing it with an offset spatula.
So I'm just making sure it gets everywhere. Trying to be like Chef Danae, even though they told us Chef Danae is a perfectionist.
From there, the now ring-shaped cakes rest for about 90 minutes. The bake's second proof. When it's nearly doubled in size, Chef Danae wets her finger and presses it into the dough.
If it bounces back, I know it's ready to go.
Then into the oven.
I'm going to probably set mine at 15 and check it.
They bake fast.
Yeah, because we roll the dough pretty thin, so it shouldn't take too long.
We're in the home stretch. The students whisk together a quick glaze. Powdered sugar, milk, vanilla, salt, and a little melted butter to help it set. Then they crowd around the oven like kids watching television, while their cakes spin on rotating racks.
Yeah, that's yours. The one that is exploding.
When the internal temp hits 190 degrees Fahrenheit, they're ready.
It's so beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
They're puffed up and golden brown. Clear successes. After they've cooled some, Cho pours coffee glaze over her cake, a nod to her sister who she describes as a coffee connoisseur, and finishes it with purple, green, and gold sugar.
It's going to melt in my mouth.
With one under her belt, Cho says she sees more king cakes in her future.
Hopefully I get to experiment with other flavors and combinations and break molds of what a king cake could be.
She wraps up her cake to take it home. Everyone is so proud, no one wants to cut their creations. That's right. After all of that, I didn't even get a taste. But there's no way they weren't delicious.
That was WWNO and WRKF's education reporter, Aubri Juhasz. If you know anything about Mardi Gras, then you know that parades throw out tons and tons of plastic beads. But all that plastic can be toxic and terrible for the environment. Public health reporter Drew Hawkins brings us a story about how some Mardi Gras crews are moving away from plastic beads using locally recycled glass.
Just try to be courteous and respectful.
It's Saturday morning in Algiers Point in New Orleans, and for this neighborhood, that means it's Glass Recycling Day. Chris Pomfret lives here, and he started the glass collection back in 2019.
It's like a farmer with his herd of cows. They've got to be milked every day. This has to happen every week, no matter what, because the public expect it.
New Orleans hasn't had a dedicated glass recycling program since Hurricane Katrina in 2005. So people in this neighborhood bring their glass, a lot of wine, beer, and liquor bottles, to one of the local churches. Volunteers like Pomfret load it up into garbage cans. He says they collect about 1,000 pounds each week.
It brings the community together. We meet and chat with a lot of people here, which is nice. It serves the community, it serves an environmental purpose, and we've got the people who are happy to do it.
The glass is hauled over to Glass Half Full. The company turns the bottles into sand that's used to help rebuild Louisiana's disappearing coastline. More than a football field of land is lost every 100 minutes to coastal erosion and rising sea levels caused by climate change. Francisca Troutman is CEO of Glass Half Full. She and her co-founder had the idea one night after a few drinks while they were still in college.
Seniors at Tulane University sharing a bottle of wine, and realized that it would end up in a landfill because there was pretty much no glass recycling in New Orleans. And we said, why don't we do something about this?
What started with one small machine in their backyard has since grown into a full-scale operation with multiple facilities. And Troutman has become a bit of a local celebrity. So this year, she was chosen to be the queen of Crew de Vue. The Mardi Gras walking parade is known for its raunchy costumes and satirical themes.
And I freaked out because Crew de Vue is truly one of my favorite parades. Not just because it's like fun and artistic, but it always has a message.
The crew's theme this year is Save Our Wet Glands, characteristic wordplay on Louisiana's coastal crisis. Troutman used recycled glass to make beads she strung into necklaces, bracelets, and keychains to throw to the crowds. Her message as queen is simple. Mardi Gras can still be fun without the plastic beads that are bad for the environment.
That's not the foundation of Mardi Gras. It's not throwing all of this plastic. Like, the foundation is like the community coming together, experiencing joy despite whatever is going on in the world. And so we can do that without plastic beads.
Residents like Chris Pomfret in Algiers Point agree, and he loves the idea that the glass that they recycle may end up as beads at a parade.
That's wonderful. I mean, going to the coastline is great, especially when we have erosion and all the sea levels rising, but to make it a Mardi Gras throw, there's nothing more quintessential than that for New Orleans.
The idea of a more eco-friendly Mardi Gras is gaining momentum, with more crews moving away from plastic beads to glass ones. It's also, in a way, a return to tradition. Arthur Hardy is a Mardi Gras historian. He says back in the 1950s, all beads were glass. But he doubted people would move away from the plastic ones that have since become the norm.
I was wrong. The movement, and I was never against the movement, but I just didn't think it was going to take root. But it has, tremendously. There are so many crews now doing exactly that, using recyclable things and getting rid of plastic. So I think it's a movement that's got feet.
And while people may not catch as many beads if crews move away from cheaper plastic ones, Hardy says that may not be a bad thing.
If we decide to throw fewer things, they become more precious and are more collectible and don't wind up in the catch basins.
More precious and less likely to end up in the environment.
That was public health reporter Drew Hawkins. And now it's time for Gulf States Gems, where we highlight, shout out, showcase something from the region that's special to us. In full disclosure, this year was actually my first time ever going to a Mardi Gras parade. Actually, it was my first time in New Orleans, too. But I wasn't alone in that experience on the Gulf States newsroom team. Community engagement producer Nellie Beckett also went to her first parade in New Orleans, and we were actually there together, and she joins me now to talk about it. Hey there, Nellie.
Hey, Elise. I'm so glad we could be parade buddies for our first ever Mardi Gras.
No, yeah, it was fabulous. Oh, my goodness. So I know there was a lot to take in, but I'm very curious to know what your gem would be from your first Mardi Gras parade.
So I'm so glad we picked Crew Bohème because I really loved the sub-crews within it. I was so inspired by the Rococo costumes of the Marie Antoinettes. They were sipping champagne and eating cake in giant wigs. I loved watching the Chassé ladies roll, too. They were celebrating relaxation and rest through these elaborately decorated rolling lounge chairs. And I'm so glad we went to Crew Bohème for our first because the smaller scale of a walking parade through the French Quarter was, it was petite, but it was no less festive. It felt like the perfect introduction to Mardi Gras for me.
Yeah, no, it was great. First of all, I love that you remember all the names of the sub-crews because I entirely forgot most of them. But yes, the ladies with the dresses and the lounges, it was all quite fabulous. And yes.
Yeah. Did you have a particular gem of your own from this first Mardi Gras parade?
100%, yes. So the giant rat in one of the French-themed floats was nothing short of incredible. If my apartment was a little bit bigger, I would have hauled the rat back to Jackson as some very classy living room decor. And there were also some folks at the end with a slime-themed float, and the terror factor there was utterly visceral. This is the first time in my life I've been afraid of getting Nickelodeon-style slimed in the street. They had like plastic tubs of slime they were carrying and biking around. It was just very creative, a little bit scary. But honestly, I was just blown away by like how down to earth much of it felt.
Yeah.
You know, Mardi Gras is not like this huge thing in South Florida where I'm from. So my perception or idea of the parades was like these huge, intricate floats, like more like a Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade sort of vibe. And instead, the creativity and flair that went into these floats, it was just really amazing because you felt like you were seeing something a lot more personal, and you could really tell the time and the effort that went into each group's like handmade floats and costumes. I guess it just didn't feel like as touristy or performative as I was expecting, but it was like very authentic with a lot of genuine character. So I absolutely loved it. But it being my first time in New Orleans, I'd be amiss if I didn't shout out a kind of first-timer's gem. Mine being getting a muffaletta sandwich in the French Quarter.
Ooh, at least where'd you get it? I love Stein's version myself.
Yeah, I got it at Central Grocery, and I'm glad I only got half because it was a lot of food. I unfortunately could not finish the whole thing, but it was an amazing dinner, truly an ideal sandwich form, 10 out of 10, no notes. And there are so many gems in New Orleans, but of course, it was great to be out there with you on the parade route. Community engagement producer Nellie Beckett, thanks so much for sharing your gem with us.
Thanks, Elise. I had so much fun.
This week's show is cooked up by the Gulf States newsroom team. Our theme music is by DJ Supreme. Special thanks to our partner stations WBHM, Mississippi Public Broadcasting, WWNO, and WRKF. You can find us in your podcast feeds every Friday. Look us up and be sure to subscribe. Again, I'm your host, Elise Gregg. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to stir your roux.